Three, two, one, and we're live.
Hey, how's everybody doing? This is Cheech from the Cheech and Manny Show, and this is a new segment, the Esoteric Hour, the Bible Files. And we're going to be tackling a very amazing, interesting topic in the Bible,
Yeah.
and is the Shroud of Turin. And I'd like to hand you over to my co-host, Mr. Manny, the official philosopher, religious, music historian, everything. But he's the
Uh,
man. He's the man on religion. So we're gonna get a nice education on the Shroud of Turin from Manny.
you are the man. I'm excited to talk about this because
Yeah.
it's such an interesting relic.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to diving into you mentioned like more of like who possibly discovered it,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
it went, because it's mysterious.
It is.
In the historical record, it's like around the years 1300s where you get mention
That's
of.
when it pops up. Yeah.
That's why people think it's fake or not authentic. But yeah, man,
Yeah.
I'm looking for. I always love these discussions with you. And this
Yeah.
is the Bible files. I'll play on word on the Epstein files, but
Yeah.
we're gonna go. This is the Bible files. You know,
The opposite of the Epstein files. That's the devil.
total opposite. We got like child sex trafficking, pedophilia, horrible stuff. Rich
Jesus
people,
Christ.
man, up to
I
no
know.
good. I wonder what like
Horrible.
Mackie and like Bezos do. Like,
They probably were there. I wouldn't be surprised. I know Bezos.
I,
I read Bezos has been associated with Epstein, but he got cleared. He's not in the files, you know.
oh man,
So
Bezos. Oh man. I'm
that
so
would
happy.
be
I'm so
we,
happy.
we wouldn't have jobs, I think. I think they would boycott. You know.
Whole Foods the temple is gonna close down. We it's news out there. Bezos owns Whole Foods.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mackie, Whole Foods, yeah.
Yeah.
Mackie, man, he was a total genius in terms of organic supermarket.
Oh, there's no one like that guy.
You remember
And
the video about the life story of him
he was a
talking about it?
hippie and everything, and he listened to the Allman Brothers. And I met him when I first went there to work on the second day of my job. He came up to me, a guy in a suit, and he's like, "What's your name?" I said, "My name is Cheech," and he laughed, and he goes, "My name is John." And then all of a sudden, it was like a show. People started to gather around. This is in 1998, and they're like, "Do you know who that is?" I'm like, "Some guy named John. He's helping me stack apricots." They're like, "That's the guy who started, you know, the place." And he was the coolest guy, like, down to earth,
Yeah.
awesome.
I always wonder what these rich people do, like right now with their lives, with all the money. Imagine, like, I wonder
I
what do
know.
they do? Like, it always fascinates me from a psychological perspective. Like,
Yeah,
what do these rich folks do on a daily basis? Like John Mackey, like I always wonder about that, but
yeah.
seems like a great dude.
He's got nothing more to prove. He can't.
I mean, he acquired, I mean, how much billions of dollars did he sell for?
And my opinion on him, and I always argue with people. Big mistake selling it to Amazon. It's just my opinion. Mackie should have kept it a small, like a Stu Leonard's kind of vibe, you know.
Hmm.
But he took it to that level of money where American greed comes in. It's like he's like
Dude,
a
is
damn.
American greed good or bad? What do you think? Are you gonna echo Wall Street? And what was that character's name? Where he's like, greed is good. Greed is a good thing. What was his name?
I forget his name, but I think Mackie, he's like a band that sold out. He started out like really great, and made some great albums, and then said, okay, put some pop songs on your albums and sell it. And so, or when bands sell their catalog and stuff like that,
Right. Oh,
because
Gordon Gekko.
yeah, Gordon Gecko, yeah.
Well, let's say if you were Mackey shoes, would you sell it to Amazon for that amount of money?
Hell no. If like all my music that I've done through the years or whatever, like that's personal. That's all that hard work you put in, and you're saying you're a hippie and you're coming from this like whole organic, wonderful vibe, and then you sell it to like the biggest, what's the word, like business in the world. To me, I love him. He's a sellout though, you know, because he made a corporation, in my opinion,
So
Fucking
you will not sell it and be content with
yeah,
you're not
dude.
you're not affected by American greed.
No, American greed destroys you. It's destroying everything.
That's
You
the
know?
thesis of Wall Street because it destroys. Remember how they destroyed our main character's father's airplane plant?
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. And he doesn't care. He just laughs it off. But yeah, it's a great point. A great
Well,
point.
look what it did to this place we're talking about. I think it destroyed it. It's not the same. And you were
I,
there, and I and at the same, you came
if I
in
can
and
play philosopher's devil's advocate on you,
yeah.
did not destroy it. Made it like all other places.
Good point. Good point.
So it's just like we're
Yeah.
part of the machine, you know. If I can
Yeah.
quote "Welcome to the Machine."
Yeah. But I think it was a mistake that
Mhm.
he sold it. But anyway, let's talk about Jesus.
Let's return to the mysterious Shroud of Turin. Now, this is fascinating because it is a controvert. It's not my view, my theological view. It's authentic. You are literally looking at the face of Jesus with this
You
shroud.
are. You are.
And so the question is a lot of esotericism around it, though, and mystery, because there's a debate that it was fake, that it was
Hmm?
forged. But then
Yeah.
there's another side where new evidence is coming out that it's kind of like an X-ray photograph, but this is weird because this does not exist. So how would it be possible?
Right.
And then they have made 3D models
Yeah.
of this man in the shroud, and it reveals, well, Jesus, oh, he did not look like a Middle Eastern man. He looks like what we always thought he did.
Yeah.
So kind of fascinating. But yeah, I'll let you lead. Where do you want to go with this? The Shroud of Turin.
Um. Well, like let's talk about the theories the that it's like fake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So um. Well, first of all, I know the Knights Templar had it for quite some time.
Mhm.
And there were rumors that it was a picture of Jacques de Molay, the last Templar. And
Mm.
that was a rumor. It was him. Um, then there was a rumor in the Renaissance that Leonardo da Vinci
Right.
made it somehow
Right.
using lenses, using camera lenses. And there's a guy I saw a documentary. He tried to replicate it through this technique that Leonardo did use camera lenses to do stuff. That's a theory, but it didn't work. Um, then there was the theory it wasn't authentic because it got burned in a fire
Mm.
around 1100, and the nuns sewed it back together. So the piece that they picked off was from the 1100s or the 1200s. Then they debunked that because they found pollen on it from first century.
Mhm.
So the first century pollen theory mixed in with an X-ray of a man who looks just like, the person we're describing in the Bible and stuff, with the
Mhm.
same wounds, the crown of thorns, the blood
Yeah.
drippings.
Yep.
To me, it's proof that Jesus existed. And I would go with the pollen theory. Why would it have first century pollen on it?
It's mysterious. Yeah.
Microscopic, they studied all that. They figured it out.
Yeah.
So the Leonardo da Vinci out the window, it's BS. It's not Jacques de Molay, a portrait of Jacques de Molay. How would they make that? You know, um, but it did catch on fire. Unfortunately, it was hanging in a church for years. Um, so yeah, I think as a Roman Catholic, it's the most truthful evidence that Jesus Christ, it, rose from the dead.
Mm.
And I remember as a kid learning about it. My grandmother had a picture of it in a room, and next to Jesus' picture, and I was always kind of creeped out
Yeah.
about it.
It's haunting.
And I was like, what is that? And they said, it's Jesus. "Well, what do you mean? He looks like a skeleton." And then they'd explain, no, that's a picture when he came back from the dead. And I always remember, wow, fascinating. So that's just, some of my take on it, from what I studied and stuff. So you want to give like your opinion and like a history about it and things
Yeah.
like that? Yeah.
I mean, I guess we can start quickly in where it possibly came from. It's kind of mysterious. We don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
You really would have to be a person of faith because if you are, then you'll see how they would have acquired this 14-foot shroud, linen, made out of linen. But my theory is Mary Magdalene. She's responsible for it because she is the first person to find Jesus's tomb,
Right.
right? And it's kind of funny also she was accompanied by other women as well. So one of them saved it.
Yeah.
Um, and this is mentioned in all four gospels. And so that's I'm pretty convinced that one of them, I think it's Mary Magdalene, took the took took the and I'll tell you why I think that. And then what happens in 1350s? And there's a legend that Mary Magdalene went to France, right?
Right.
Where
Yep.
does the shroud appear? In France, in the
Right.
local record. And so it appears around in this place called Le France, around 1355.
Yeah.
Right? And it was acquired by the House of Savoy in 1453, and then eventually moved to Turin, which actually today it still is in 1578. So anyway, I think that's what happened. And what's really fascinating is that this is the linen cloth. By the way, it's linen that they wrapped Jesus's body in after he died on the cross.
Yeah.
When he resurrected, now this is the key thing, it produces image on the shroud, which normally does not happen. Like
No.
someone dies, you put that doesn't happen. Maybe there might be a
Yeah.
blood print,
And
but
it'll come off, or you know what I mean? It won't like stay on a regular person.
right. So yeah, that doesn't make any sense. And then also like going back to your debate, scientific findings, like they shown that the image, people thought like Leonardo painted it or it's
Yeah.
painted. The only problem is that scientific findings have found that cannot be the case. There's no pigments.
Yeah.
It's not a direct, simple imprint. Um, and it's weird because it holds, and this is strange for the 1300s, it holds 3D information that you cannot replicate. You
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
do it. Um, Another really cool, interesting thing is that the blood analysis has been done on the shroud, and
Wow.
it's revealed real human blood type AB, and that,
Wow.
like you said, the wound patterns match what the Gospels talk. It actually matches perfectly. If you look
Yeah.
at where he was nailed and everything.
Yeah.
There was a dating controversy where there was a 1988 radiocarbon dating that was itself fake. And that was the one that said, oh, it was created in the 13th, 14th century.
Yeah.
But the problem is they took a sample, what you just said, the repair part.
Yeah.
So, and they did, I feel like they did it on purpose because they don't want to prove the shroud is real. These are the
Yeah.
atheists and people who don't
I,
like
I
information.
totally think they did that on purpose. And then the scientists came out with the pollen. And I
Right.
don't
The
know how
game changer.
that pollen from the tomb, microscopic parts from God, 2,000 years ago, they proved that it was from the Middle East.
Yep.
And it was,
And honestly, think about it. People are I might that's too harsh when they think it's a fake thing made in like the medieval period. Dude, give us other evidence of stuff like this.
yeah. I mean, it's an X-ray machine. You
Eh,
ever, when
I-
you see the
Dude,
bone, like your bone
essentially,
or something like that, you
dude,
go to the
that,
dentist and he
dude,
shows you your
that's
teeth or
what it
something.
is,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
astounding because how there was no technology like this. Like it would be impossible.
yeah,
And so it reveals the real face of Christ. For those of you that want to figure out, what he looked like.
yeah,
I will say the Catholic Church has not officially declared a stance on it. What they do say is that it is an object of faith. It does help with faith, but they don't want to take they don't want to take a position on it.
right.
So they kind of been kind of like, a little hesitant.
They're not saying it's authentic, that it's really Jesus's
They're
face.
neutral. They're neutral. They're not.
They never came out and said that. That's
No,
interesting.
some Catholics really believe it's authentic, and if you look at the evidence, yeah, it's pretty obvious. But yeah,
I
that's the
wonder
thing.
why. Why won't the Catholic Church come out and just say
They
it's real?
they always do that. They're very careful, believe it or not, when they declare like a saint or
Yeah.
miracles, whatever. Um, it's
Has
just
it had any super like like miracle kind of thing happen to it? Have they tested it for that? I wonder, like, Like it has a magical kind of thing
What
with
do you
it,
mean?
or
What do you mean?
like with relics and stuff. Like I wonder, like if relics could heal you or something like
That's a good
that.
question. There are periods that they take you out. That's a great point. That I'm not sure.
Like when you go to
But you know
Lords,
what's funny? It was said to have caused miracles. Like if you touched it.
right? Like if
Uh,
you go to Lords and you drink the water, and
yeah. Yep.
that kind
Yep.
of thing. Is there anything like that? So you said there are miracles that could happen.
There were reported. Now nowadays they take it out and you can see it in Turin. There's certain days they actually bring it out.
Yeah,
Uh, but again, what's really interesting is that there is an ongoing debate, and because of that, the Catholic Church hasn't really declared a stance like, yeah, it's authentic. No, my opinion, they should, but
yeah.
I get it from their point of view.
What
Um,
about the crown of thorns? I know the Templars had it. They had the crown of thorns. Is that in a box somewhere in the
so
Vatican?
actually, the legend, well, it's not even a legend. Notre Dame in France has it.
That they have the crown of thorns?
Yeah, they have it. It's preserved at Notre Dame Cathedral, Notre Dame.
Now, is that something that people can visit, or that's
Yeah,
something like?
they bring it out every period. I forgot exactly how they do it, but yeah, they bring it out.
And does it meet the criteria to the head and the wounds and everything? Like it match?
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah. It's
Now,
historically believed to be that crown. That and also I think the one that was acquired by Constantine, I think. And
yeah. Oh, yeah, because Helena, Saint Helena was collecting
Mhm.
all this. Constantine's mother, and she had pieces of the true cross.
Yeah.
She had um, the crown of thorns. She had something else too, which I don't remember.
Yeah.
Um,
She found a lot of when she converted, she went on a hunt to find all these relics. And
did she
luckily,
have Veronica, Saint Veronica? I mean, not Saint Veronica, but the little mini um shroud, Veronica.
oh, the Veronica's cloth, right?
Yeah, did she? I wonder if she had that. I think she might have had
She had
that too.
one. Well, maybe, but I know right now it's in the church in Italy too.
Veronica's cloth.
Yeah.
So what does the church state on that? I mean, that's
Also
such a
neutral. As far as I know, neutral.
it's just crazy. Like it's so to me it's fact. You could
Mhm.
see the imprint of Jesus on that. There's no way to fake that. No way. No way to fake it.
I
And
know.
I mean I've never seen it in person, but I've seen it on shows and the length of the body and the way everything looks. And it's been
Yeah.
around all these years.
No, what's crazy is that it shows you the human face of Jesus. So, and it's kind of silly because there's a debate. You probably heard the white Jesus debate that Jesus wasn't white or whatever,
Yeah, yeah.
or that he didn't look like how we see in them
That
Renaissance
that the
paintings.
Middle Ages and the Renaissance paintings or what you think of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and it's really interesting because with these, like, let's say these objects are real, which points, like you said, there's no other objects like these. There's
no,
no way someone could do this. Um, Now let's say these are real. If you look at the dimensions, they match what we always knew what Jesus looked like.
yeah, yeah,
And so in a way, it's kind of a shame that a lot of people, they think he's like a Middle Eastern man. The fact I hate that argument with the Middle East. That doesn't matter because they people assume that all people look Arab, for example.
yeah,
That's a mistake because um that's whether or not that was the case, it doesn't matter. But
yeah,
what actually happened and what we can see is that you want to look at the face of the Lord, you want to look at the Shroud of Turin and the veil of
yeah,
um, Montepello. I think I just pronounce it.
yeah. And I also think Saint Helena had the nails
Yep.
that, and
And the spear.
the Spear of Destiny, which in turn went into the Templars' hands. They had that. Nobody knows where the Spear of Destiny is, though. That's
I know there's a theory that Hitler had it.
yeah.
Yeah,
There's
so the true cross she found, the nails from the crucifixion,
yeah.
the inscription that's read INRI.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Where's is that? Is
Oh,
that around?
and this is shocking. She actually got the stairs from Pontius Pilate's palace in Jerusalem, and transferred it to Rome. How crazy is that?
That is nuts.
The
She
Holy Tomb.
really,
Yeah, she got the crowns of thorns, spear, like she did, you know, rescued all of this. And
and then she built. There's a church where he resurrected.
yep.
There's a church that she built. Um, and there's something else that she did. I forgot. Um, Something to do with the Last Supper, maybe. There's a church where they had the Last Supper. I think I might have read. Um, but she, thank God. Imagine if she didn't do that. You know
Oh,
what I mean? Like she, because everybody was a pagan, and and then Constantine fought that battle, and he felt like God made him win the famous
yep.
battle, and then he converted.
Yep.
Um, but the shroud never made it to the Bible, right? They never talk about it in any passages of the Bible.
All they say, there's a mysterious passage in the Gospel of John that says that when they went to the tomb, they found the linen cloths folded uh, where Jesus was laying.
Right.
It was just there folded. So it leads me to believe that someone took it.
Yeah.
That's the shroud that we have today. And it's a photograph of Jesus. People, you got to think about that.
And
And
it would make sense. It wound up in France.
I mean, like you said, going back to Mary Magdalene stuff, if it's true she went there,
Yeah.
then think about it. That's um
It fascinates me, reading Holy Blood, Holy Grail my whole life. We won't get into, you know, her role in that book,
mhm.
but she did go to France because there's so many churches based on her.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
forget the Holy Blood, Holy Grail theory. She went there by herself,
Hmm.
and maybe with other people. Maybe she had other followers that went with her,
Hmm.
and she brought that with her, and it showed up there, and that would make sense how the Templars would have gotten hold of it because it would be right in France in their backyard,
Hmm.
you
Yeah,
know?
and it was discovered and the historical record, it was already written about in 1349 in France, and it was presented by French knight Geoffrey de Charny. But there's another theory that possibly
Wait,
passed through
what
Jerusalem.
year? What year that night?
1349. 1349.
Was he a Templar?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. Would you know?
I I think he might have been a Templar,
All right. And
you
it's
know?
weird because also there's another theory. There was a journey earlier with passing through Jerusalem, Edessa, which is Turkey, and Constantinople. And going back to what you said,
Oh, that's where the Templars got it. In
yeah,
Turkey. In Turkey.
and going back to your theory on the pollen grains on the cloth,
Yeah.
this is key because they match the flora native to the Mediterranean and Middle Eastern region. So if it was forged, think about it, for a forgery, that is so specific.
Yeah.
And again, that pollen, that flora was native to the Mediterranean and Middle Eastern regions. And so it supports also the evidence that it traveled through very land central to Jesus's life.
Right.
And it's botanical evidence.
That's the
Um,
key. That's the smoking gun.
dude, and not only that, but it even gets more mysterious because again, the way the image is formed, dude, it acts like a photographic negative. I want you to think about that. Who can paint a photographic negative in the 13th century?
Right. Now when I think about negatives, okay, so back in the day,
I know
you
exactly.
probably remember
Yeah,
going to the little booths to get
yep.
your film developed
That's
before we had
exactly how you want to think
this
about it. That dude, that is literally the shroud.
yeah. And then they'd have the negatives, and you'd put it up to a light and you'd
Yeah,
see the picture. Yeah. And
dude, that is
that's
literally the shroud.
yeah,
And again, and it's weird because okay, if you look at the shroud, you don't see it. You need X-ray technology to see it.
yeah,
Which is,
yeah.
and then think about it, someone painted this. How the heck are they? How would they do?
I don't care how good Leonardo was. And
Dude,
he was fucking good, you know, but or Michelangelo or any of these guys from the Renaissance. There's no way they did
no,
that.
no.
No, they didn't have the technology to do that.
No, and if you look at it, it'll scare you because you'll see the image of Jesus. Once you use this technology and people have made a reconstruction of this man, and this is the part that's going to shock you more. The image matches a lot of the early art of Jesus, how they portray him, and it also matches the Veronica's veil, the veil of Montepello.
Oh, it matches the veil,
Yeah, if you
the
put it
face.
over, dimensions are perfection.
Wow.
And matches its dimensions with, do you know how Jesus appeared to a Polish nun in 1900s, Saint Faustina, and then produced that image, Jesus, I trust in you?
I heard of it, but I didn't study that one.
So if you compared the image side by side, perfect comparison.
Wow.
So it's just like more evidence upon more evidence, and to deny it, I just feel like it's atheists, devil worshippers. They don't want they don't want
I
everyone.
mean, to me, the Veronica cloth and the pollen, that's it. That's all you need to, that's you got to say, yep, this is it. Explain that. You know, people that are doubting the shroud,
Yeah.
explain
No,
that to me.
no,
Give
and
me a reason why.
no, and from the Bible, the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, they say that Joseph of Arimathea, they wrapped the body in a linen cloth, right,
Yeah.
or linen shroud.
Mhm.
And again, so you think about like where did this go?
Right.
I mean, just put two and two together. It's pretty obvious. And actually,
And it
you could
makes sense.
argue that this is what early artists used to portray Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, what was the first art of Jesus? The first real painting?
Yeah, so there are a lot of art, like historians place these paintings in, I think it was some sort of catacombs in Rome, but some of the early depictions of Jesus were already depicting a man like we know today.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people make the mistake, like, oh, he was a take on like some Apollo god or whatever.
Right, right, right.
That is, for me, that's just stupid. Like,
Yeah.
if you look at those early depictions of Jesus, they already knew what he looked like. And it's that classic way that we see him.
Yeah.
Um, so and just like the shroud is more evidence, and it's just um and again, if you look at those early depictions, you're gonna see a man, no beard or whatever, sheep, a lamb on his back.
Yeah.
Um, but eventually, then you see again like how we view Jesus now.
Yeah.
And there are a couple famous examples. Um, but yeah, like by 550, I can show you a picture later. You can kind of see, and that's become the mod of what he looked like. And Shroud of Turin supports that. Also, bloodstains, they prove real human blood. It's not paint. It's AB type. And the stains match the flow patterns of a crucified man. And
Jesus. It's
and
all
it
there.
proves the the image has evidence of scourging, a crowning with thorns based on the wounds,
Yeah.
crucifixion, and a wound in the side.
Yeah.
And then again, people think it's medieval forgery, but I just like
I
how?
mean, the people, I would love to talk to the scientists that believe that and say, okay, you believe it's medieval forgery. Explain how. Give me a reason how. Because we're given a reason how it's really happened. You know, there's proof that this is real from pollen, uh, from the pollen that's on there, from the blood stain. You know, like it's there. So tell us why it's forged and how they did it. And I would love to talk to somebody who would say that, you know, who would give me an answer. That's why they picked the newer cloth when they did that big thing in 1980.
Yeah, they done purpose. They don't want to prove it. So
Yeah. And that's why the Catholic Church doesn't want to come out and say like, you know, if they do say that, like, well, we're the only religion that everyone should worship, it'll cause great problems in the
yeah.
world,
And I'm
you
telling
know.
you, for me, it just proves what Jesus looked like. So that's why
Yeah.
when they see like they portray him like a Middle Eastern looking man, like Arab, and I'm like,
No.
why are we so against it? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah. I know.
They play the race card or whatever, but that doesn't matter.
I know.
But yeah, that's the Shroud of Turin.
Yeah, man. And it just and we're gonna, in future episodes, we're gonna talk more about Mary Magdalene because she's
Mhm.
always been very fascinating.
Mhm.
For me, because of Holy Blood, Holy Grail, that'll be the next topic, and that's gonna be very controversial. I know we talked about her role in Holy Blood, Holy Grail,
Yeah.
but that's why she did go to France. You know,
It does match perfectly. Somebody went to France. Um, who did? The person that went to evangelize, the French.
right?
Um, so it kind of matches perfectly of how the shroud ended up there.
And then, why would the churches of Mary Magdalene be all over the place?
Hmm.
Because
Well,
she was
clearly,
there.
there's
You
the
know,
evidence. Yeah, somebody was there.
there's also getting in the Holy Blood, Holy Grail, which I don't want to spoil it, but that she's buried in France.
Hmm. I believe
There's
it.
and there's certain they've been searching for that for the longest time.
Hmm.
A
Yeah,
lot of forgeries on that. A lot of people said they found her body and
right.
and stuff like that, but it's never been found. They never found any of her relics. I love the fact that they have saint relics. Like they have
Yeah.
don't they have like teeth or stuff like that in some churches and their fingers?
Yeah, dude, saints, because again, the idea is that since the Holy Spirit operated through them, like you can still feel it even after they're dead.
Yeah,
And they've been sources of miracles
yeah,
around.
yeah. It's fascinating, but yeah. So anything else on the shroud before we
No,
wrap it up?
unless you have anything else on it.
No, I definitely think Istanbul is where the Templars found them.
Hmm.
Now,
No, I
why?
told you that Turkey idea. There's evidence that it went
Yeah.
through a journey.
So,
And by the way, by the 500s, you have the famous depictions of Jesus as a man, like you see in the Shroud.
yeah,
So historians say, where did they get this idea from? How did we go from this to that?
right.
Well, if you look at the evidence with the Shroud of Turin and the Veil of Montepello, it makes sense because somebody saw this and they started really skilled artists started. And Leonardo
Yeah,
da Vinci being a master painter, even he was really accurate with,
yeah.
everything's based on an original thing. And I think
Michelangelo, his work is beautiful. Um, but yeah, so how did it make it from, all right, what year was it in Istanbul?
we don't know. It's a mystery. It appears in the historical records in France in 1300s.
Okay.
But there's some evidence and some historians that link that it did. If you look at the evidence, it did travel.
We
And from,
traveled
yeah, from
to
Jerusalem
Turkey.
and possibly went to Turkey. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and then and then in the 1500s it went to where it is now in Italy in Rome.
Turin, that's its final to this day.
Yeah.
You can see it there. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's crazy how it almost burned. I don't know if that was done on
No,
purpose, you wonder, like,
no, it
and
was
you could see the
lost.
burn marks on it. It
And the
burned pretty bad.
nuns tried to repair it, and
Yeah.
any way they could. Yeah.
And they were very selective about taking something weird happened when they were studying it too. Like, I don't know, there was some mystical thing that happened. I wish I could remember the story when I
Mm.
was watching a documentary on it. The guy who was working on it, like, he took a picture of it, and then when he looked at it again, the picture looked different than the actual shroud.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So it
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
some kind of weird.
Yeah. It's haunting, and when you look at you look at the cloth, you can't see it. You would actually need an X-ray camera
Yeah,
to see the image. And again, I'm shocked that people are say that it's a forgery painted.
yeah.
Dude, no painting does that. Like that makes
No,
no sense.
they had no
And
technology back then to do that.
no,
They didn't have.
no, and it's sad because it reveals a man that was everything that you saw in Passion of the Christ. And by the way, there's been a priest, there's a great video I'll send you who says that based on the Shroud of Turin, what we see, the Passion of Christ was nothing. This man suffered a lot more just based on what they're seeing with the Shroud.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
one of the things that's interesting is that is on the shroud, it shows evidence of his beard being torn off.
Oh my
So
God.
yeah, you see his wounds, everything. So that's why it's really compelling. And I can see I had this strange feeling that Mary Magdalene grabbed it. Every time I read that passage, and I think she did, and I think she brought it to France. Maybe
It would have been either.
The Knights Templar. I mean,
I
somebody.
mean, it would have been
Oh, and by the
Joseph or
way,
Mary.
in Turkey,
Yeah,
you said the Knights Templar were in Turkey, right?
yeah, yeah.
Ephesus. Now, here's another interesting theory. One interesting theory is that Mary Magdalene was buried in Ephesus, and if she had the shroud, Knights Templar took it
The
at,
emphasis is in Turkey.
in Turkey, and that's also where Mary died too. Mary, mother of Jesus.
She's buried, and they don't know where she's buried though.
Well, according to the Catholic Church, she was
She's
God
ascended. Yeah.
everything sold out.
Um, but Mary Magdalene has been rumored to have been buried in
There's a
Turkey.
couple of theories. Yeah, Turkey is one of them. Yep.
Now that's another great theory that she went to Turkey, she had the shroud, and she died there, and the Templars
They found her
somehow
body. They found her body. They realized this is Mary Magdalene. They saw the shroud. So someone had it there. And
they took her body. This was in Holy Blood, Holy Grail.
that's
This is this
supported, dude. That
theory.
can be supported by the historical evidence.
Yeah, there's a couple theories in Holy Blood, Holy. I mean, the Holy Blood, Holy Grail thing we'll get into is just way, way not this, but they did mention that the Templars took it from Turkey, and if she had died, they took her body to France, and that's why the churches were made in southern France.
Hmm.
And she's because like around here, there's not a lot of churches for Mary Magdalene.
No, and it's fascinating because French is Magdalene huge.
Yeah.
In Spanish cultures, Magdalene is huge too. Santa Maria Magdalena. So
Really? That's
huge.
interesting.
Yeah,
Why
so why?
why is that you think? Like
Because of what the art and usual art, and this is true, the only ones, some of the few ones that were present at Jesus's passion and crucifixion was
yeah,
Magdalene and John the Apostle, John the
right, right,
Evangelist. Both of them were present there,
yeah,
and both of them are always together with Mary, mother of Jesus.
right. Now it it's proven that the saints well, they all became saints, but they did travel. They didn't stay in
Oh,
Jerusalem.
no, more than proven.
Yeah, they
Dude,
traveled all
he
over.
talks about it. India has a huge cult for Thomas.
Yeah,
And you may wonder why. It's because St. Thomas the Apostle went there.
yeah,
Ethiopian church has a huge thing about Matthew. There's a theory that
yeah.
Matthew went down there and got martyred in Ethiopia. He brought the
Yeah.
faith over there, which also lends a little bit of evidence of the Ark of the Covenant being there. Ethiopia is kind of strange.
Yeah, we
Um,
talked about that last episode.
yeah,
Like,
right, right.
but Matthew couldn't take. You can't touch the Ark of the Covenant. Like, that's the whole
Right, that's
thing.
what we talked about. So that doesn't
Yeah,
make sense. But there is
yeah,
a mystery there. Matthias and Matthew
yeah.
went down there, or Matthew. Um, but yeah, all the apostles started spreading. So it's kind of funny. They didn't stay. They didn't. Of course, they stayed in Jerusalem according to Acts, but they
Yeah, yeah,
kept moving.
yeah.
Paul preaches all over Turkey and Greece.
So, how far is Jerusalem to Istanbul and Turkey? In that,
Far.
it's really far. Yeah, that's. But the port of Messina is interesting. I believe it's in Italy, and that's where the Templars. That's where their main port was, and
Mm,
they would go to Jerusalem during the Crusades.
right.
And it's like one direct route. It's a direct route to on the Holy Land,
No, that would make sense.
like Damascus and all these places where the Templars had their fortresses built and stuff.
Yeah.
And um, so they had
Yeah.
so much
Yeah.
shit though.
And I will say, like from Istanbul to Jerusalem, it actually is fairly close, but not really. But
Right.
you would have had to take a boat and travel, because you would have to go and then you get to Greece, past Istanbul. So it's a long journey, but it's close relatively.
Yeah. So it's doable. It's not like coming
Yeah.
to America. You know what I mean? Like
No. Yes, yes.
Wow. You know, there's a great movie if you could find that on YouTube called In Search of Jesus Christ. And the show In Search of made it. And it just talks about Jesus's life, like what he would have done between the ages of 30 and 33.
Hmm.
There's a lot of theories and stuff like that.
The ministry. It would have been
Yeah,
ministry. 3 years starting.
yeah.
Starting literally when John baptizes him, he was 30, and then 3 years journey. So the gospel show you 3 years of his life. And on the 33rd year, that's when um
Well, there's some crazy theories that he went to like
I know what you're talking about. There's a theory that one of the craziest ones that he went to go. There's a crazy theory that he and the
went
Buddha,
to Tibet. He went to Tibet.
and he began teaching this. And so somebody like the Buddha got inspired. And
Well, there's documents of a bearded man in a robe in Tibet who studied with the Tibetan monks, and some of the New Testament stuff is similar to Buddhism. Like,
yeah.
so there's a like love your enemy kind of thing, you know. So there's a link between his travel to Tibet and studying with the Buddhist priests. Um, I don't know if you ever met Buddha. They hung out together. I
Well,
doubt
it's
that.
weird because the Buddha existed 500 years before Jesus.
Right,
So
right.
he must have been something. And there's actually the legend. There's a theory. This guy pretty interesting that Buddha was some sort of person that kind of did believe in or encounters. I heard about this encounters
What?
the
A
Israel.
man, a man from the Middle East who had this knowledge.
Yep, yep. Did you hear the legend of Barlam and Josephat?
No, maybe if you tell the
You
story.
remember the Silk Road stories of the Buddha's life travel to the Middle East and Europe, where the Bodhisattva, I think I'm pronouncing it right, Bodhisattva, the Buddha to be became Josephat, a character in like it's like this interesting theory where yeah, they encountered some sort of like and again, there's no evidence,
Right, right.
but uh it's just interesting because yeah, there's a lot of similarities here.
Yeah.
And there's a theory that the Catholic saint that what we know as a Buddha were Saints Barlam and Josephat. And the story goes that here's the story. Check this out. Um, and again, no evidence, but it is kind of fascinating that the story starts with a similar plot as Josephat was born to King Abner, who told his son will be a warrior, and that the same situation applied to also Joseph as it did to Siddhartha Gautama. He was in complete isolation. He escapes the confines of the palace. Joseph had found Barlam. Barlam was a hermit, meaning to live a life of utter solitude. And then Joseph had converted after coming home to his father Abner. He successfully converted him to Christianity as well. So there's like an interesting
Yeah. A lot of,
legend about it. But again, no
but
evidence, but it's fun.
there is evidence of a scroll in Tibet that does say there was a man from the Middle East who fits Jesus' description.
And it's crazy because then that would have been 500 years before Jesus. So that means Jesus, as some sort of spirit or someone, if that's true, went, taught,
Yeah,
taught the Buddha enlightenment. And again, their doctrine is very similar. The only difference is that the Buddha took it that they don't really have a belief in the God per se,
right.
but their ideas on compassion and the goal is there's been an interesting thing where Buddha and Jesus taught the golden rule, do unto others as you would like them to do.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
so a lot of people kind of like people who don't like religion or try to disprove it say, it's ethics and at the end of the day,
Right,
and
right, right.
both of them were just moral teachers. But what's odd is that, but what's strange for me is that the Buddha It's interesting, like especially how his story begins. It's kind of mysterious.
I came from a rich family, and then he just
Yeah.
jetted and wanted to live in the
It kind of sounds
wilderness.
like the prodigal son in a way,
Yeah, yeah,
like a little bit. And his is to, well, the only difference is that he talked about the cure for suffering.
right.
So through enlightenment, he developed this eightfold path. But
Yeah,
it's funny because it does resemble Christianity's, like, what monks do, and
it does.
so it's
Yeah.
kind of fascinating.
I mean, who's to say that, Jesus didn't have an impact with them? You never know,
Another wild theory is that a white man in the Mayan culture appeared to them and promised that he was going to come back.
right?
That's another
I,
thing.
I, I heard that.
Some sort
That's
of guy visited the Americas, taught them a lot. The other theory,
that's in the movie In Search of
right?
Prehistoric Jesus. Yeah.
I have my fun personal theory that it was a fallen angel that went and promised
Uh,
I'll be back. And so, for example, like the Aztecs thought he was coming back, and so when they saw Hernan Cortez, they thought it was the white man that was.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
wow. Cortez the Killer. Yeah.
Neil Young is so political. He hates Cortez.
I know. Um, it was one other fact. Oh, where's Lao Tzu in all this? When Jesus is way before Jesus,
Oh, that's a
right?
great question. So obviously, first, do you know where Buddha was? Buddha?
Where he was?
Yeah, when he was living?
What? I don't know. I get confused with years.
Oh, yeah. So Buddha was in the fifth century. He was in what today's India.
Right.
And
So he's in the fifth century. He's way after Jesus.
yeah, now Lao Tzu, who's known as the literally is Japanese for old master. And by the way,
Yeah.
we don't know if he existed. No
Right.
one
Right.
knows.
Yeah.
Another weird, strange figure, sixth century BC, so 600 years before Christ.
And Buddha's 5 centuries
Buddhist was
after
500 years.
after
And
Christ or before Christ?
everything's before Christ.
Everything's before Christ.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah. What about Muhammad?
Muhammad was 700 about, so Muhammad existed way after. So Muhammad, 7th century, 700 years estimate in
Wow.
modern day Saudi Arabia, that the so-called Prophet Muhammad started preaching in Mecca.
In the 700s.
This is
That's a
way after.
long time.
Yeah.
That's pretty recent.
Yeah,
It,
in a way, yes.
in
Yes.
time in historical times,
Yes.
like I mean, even Jesus is like 2,000 years ago. That's not that long ago. When you think about the dinosaurs
No, it's
or Lao Tzu or somebody like that,
no. So just imagine. So Lao Tzu would have existed in the time of Israel. Israel was already high in power.
Yeah,
Um, and even Buddha, he would exist at the time of the Greeks, and when actually that the Israel collapsed and the Babylonians took over.
yeah,
But yeah, so Islam existed way after 700 years
right. That's
in Saudi
fascinating.
Arabia. And these were the Arabs, right? We call them the Arabs back then. They were people of the desert.
Yeah. Now, what about Socrates? Would would Socrates have been around the same time Lao Tzu and Buddha would have been around?
More Buddha, 500 years before.
So Socrates and Buddha were on the same planet.
Yeah, there's an idea that Socrates, have you heard about this talk to Buddha?
That's where I'm going with this. Like
Yeah, it's fascinating because one of the most mysterious things is Socrates himself. Because what's really strange is that Buddha, Socrates, Jesus, they left nothing written. So
yeah.
a lot of people assume that Socrates is fake, that Jesus is fake.
Well, now I don't want to get in the spoiler alert of Holy Blood, Holy Grail.
Maybe we should save it. We'll save it because this is good.
I'll save it because
Yeah,
there is a
save it.
book called
Write it down.
the Book of Love
Right,
that the Cathars had in southern France.
right,
They had a lot of shit too. The Cathars. They had a lot of artifacts from Jesus,
right,
and they got prosecuted pretty fucking brutal. It was like the Inquisition in France.
right. That's fascinating. And
If you
yeah,
look up the Book of Love, it was a book, The Teachings of Jesus. It's a Gnostic book that they had, and supposedly the Templars got their hands on it. You know,
great conversation for like
we'll save that. Holy Blood, Holy Grail is gonna just open up the floodgates because
oh yeah.
it goes against everything that in the Bible, pretty much.
Yeah, and I think our viewers out there just now we're heading into really esoteric areas.
Yeah. But I,
So
I say for me, like if you want to read the greatest esoteric book on Jesus and the Templars and the Cathars and the Merovingians and the Visigoths,
mhm.
I would say read Holy Blood, Holy Grail. It is the two greatest books I ever read in my life that fascinated me was The Ultimate Evil, by Maury Terry, and Holy Blood, Holy Grail by Henry Lincoln and Michael Bejan. Those were the two that like I read them 100 like maybe like 50 times,
Right,
like
right. They're thought provoking. I mean,
they
yeah,
really are.
I don't believe in none of this because it's just like
No.
fun to think about, especially
Yeah,
like the mysterious. Like you just made a great point. Like like Socrates, Lao Tzu, and Buddha, they existed about 500 years before Jesus, right?
yeah,
And a totally different part of the world.
yeah,
Even Greece too, in a way.
yeah,
And then you have Jesus,
yeah,
right? And then 800 years you have you know the prophet, the so-called prophet Muhammad, right?
yeah,
Um, but going back to these esoteric groups like the Cathars and base, actual historical figures,
yeah.
they began unearthing like secret knowledge,
Mhm.
and it's just fascinating seeing this, what they thought that, for example, like there was a bloodline, Jesus and Mary Magdalene, and it was preserved in. There's a theory that King Charlemagne was of that. King Charlemagne's a huge deal in terms of his.
Yeah, like the Cathars, from what I could remember, their belief was kind of fucked up. They believed in Jesus, but they felt like he was a prophet, but he
No,
wasn't a Messiah.
and we talked about it. And that historically, that's not. They don't. Historians don't believe that. That's a
Yeah,
theory.
yeah,
That what they believe. I'm not saying it's true or right, but it makes sense because then they would hold John the Baptist as, because some people did in that time it was like John the Baptist versus Jesus.
right, right.
It's kind of
And
fat.
that's why the Templars loved John the Baptist,
Right, right.
But they would have to sow an oath to Jesus to be a monk. They were warrior monks.
They had, so again, I think that's the killer Achilles heel on that one because
Yeah,
it wouldn't make
no,
sense. Yeah.
it doesn't make sense. They didn't make sense.
Mhm.
A warrior monk. Like there were
Well, at
monks,
the time, it makes sense. It was they had to do vows, and essentially they were soldiers to defend the Holy Land from the Muslims.
right?
And you see it in the movie, the Kingdom on Earth movie,
The kingdom of heaven. Yeah,
the Kingdom
that's
of Heaven. I'm sorry,
yeah.
the Kingdom of
I
Heaven.
mean, it's the temple. I mean, it's
You
they
were a
were just
soldier. You were a soldier of Christ, essentially, and that's why
yeah.
you had to take these vows. You were fighting monks.
Yeah, yeah, you were warrior monks killing the enemy, which was the Muslims who were going to take Jerusalem,
Mhm.
and it was a holy war. But it's just crazy, like you never think of monks being violent, and they were the best warriors
Mhm.
because a lot of their bloodlines come from France, which is Normandy, which
Mhm.
goes back to the Vikings.
Mhm.
So these guys could fight, you know. They knew they were true warriors. So we'll get into
Yeah,
Jacques de Molay and you
that'll be another
Defiance,
episode.
you
Any
know.
last minute things on the Shroud of Turin, or?
No, this was good. This was a good esoteric. We probably did almost an hour, which we normally go,
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, so people out there, look at the
yeah.
the Shroud of
Shroud of
Turin.
Turin, and you tell us
You
real,
tell us what you think. We gave you facts.
fake.
We gave you facts on the shroud that there's pollen from first century. There's the actual
Yo,
Veronica
dude,
cloth that
dude, think,
matches the faith,
think
the
about it.
face.
If you're trying to do a forgery, yeah, I'm gonna get some pollen from here, like
And where are you gonna go? You're gonna go all the way to Jerusalem in the
Yo,
first century? That
yeah, you guys got that pollen? What was that pollen?
that pollen theory is that just says it It's
It
true.
it's
Come on.
it's compelling, and that's not even my reason to believe in it. It's just
I mean,
from my
what are the odds they got linen from the first century with pollen on it and then drew a picture of a guy named Jesus? All right, okay, you could say, all
wow.
right, there's a 0.1%. Yeah, but what are the fucking odds of that happening? None. 0.1, you know? So, but anyway, this was cool, man. This was great, you know. This is the second installment of the Bible
Bible
Files,
series,
you know, and
Bible files.
we're gonna take on next episode my favorite book of all time, Holy Blood, Holy Grail.
I
We'll
do my
talk about
research on that one.
all the
I don't. Do you want
crazy
me to
shit.
be nice to it or like?
No, I want you to be honest because like I don't believe I don't believe in it. And
I'll
I
let you
don't
talk about the book's thesis, and we'll look at it from like.
well they took it from a like an investigator's point of view. They were doing a investigation of theories that led them to this point in
Mm,
France. And a specific priest found shit in a church, in an old dilapidated church.
mm,
And this priest took evidence to the Vatican and they were like, oh shit. So they gave this priest a shit ton of money and he built palaces, the Torre Magdala, all this stuff. And you know, it gets into the book gets insane, you know. So, but I totally recommend anyone to watch videos on it, read the book, um, but don't let it go against your faith. If you're obviously a Catholic, you're gonna be like, oh my God, this is
well,
blasphemy.
spoiler for me is like problematic because there's.
Oh yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
approach it from like a philosophical, historical, and theological. Like it just makes no sense. It inspired Dan Brown, which is another thing that does not make any sense. My
and the
fear is that people actually believe in this, but the only
yeah,
problem is that any historian will tell you that it's just not.
yeah. But
There's not a evidence.
Saunier was the French priest who found the evidence and he blackmailed the church. That's the basis of the book. And
Mm,
then from there it gets into all this crazy. It gets into the occult. Wagner hung out there. Wagner, you know, it gets into this whole thing that this priest Saunier was involved with an opera singer named Emma Clave, who was this high priestess, and they would do like rituals, and it gets nuts. This book is nuts. I love
that,
this book
that's what it
just
sounds like.
from the esoteric creepiness
Mm,
of it, but also the knowledge. It's beyond you know, it brings a lot of knowledge and history. Like if you want to know about the Merovingians and the Visigoths, um, you learn about they teach you about that, the Cathars, the Templars. That's how I learned everything about the Templars. It gets into the Shroud
mm.
whole you know, these guys really did a good job, and they never really state they're journalists, so they're stating journalistic approach. They don't say what they believe in, you know. But then Michael Beijent wrote a book later, one of the writers, called the Jesus Papers, and he said he found evidence of factual stuff that Jesus wrote, and he put it in the book, but he
Mm.
never said where he got it from, or he never showed anybody the papers. And it's a great book. It's a great, great book, you know. Uh, but yeah, so that just I got heavily into that stuff, man, at one point in my life. So anyway, great episode. More esoteric. It gets more esoteric these episodes. And thank you for your knowledge on the shroud and all the cool stuff. Talking about the religious stuff. Um, and this is it for the esoteric hour on the shroud. I think we may have pulled off maybe an hour. So check out the next episode. It'll be on the Templars and Holy Blood, Holy Grail. And check out our previous episode, which we covered John the Baptist and the Essenes and the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Mhm.
So we're getting into some heavy stuff here. And I love it because nobody knows. because there's with the dead, nobody knows there's the I love that mystery that's there.
Mhm.
But we do know one thing: the shroud, in my opinion, is real,
It's
Or-
real. Yeah.
and that is proof that
It's,
Jesus is the Messiah.
it's the thing. So, like we talked about Dead Sea Scrolls, John the Baptist, Jesus. If you want to see the face, just look at the Shroud of Turin.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And we'll move on next week to some of the Templar stuff.
To the darker side,
Yeah, the esoteric
the
side.
Merovingians. All right, man. Great, great episode.
Cheech, man.
All
Always
right,
fun with you, brother.
all right, brother.
All right, man.
Take care. All
Till next one.
right,
We'll close the Bible files. We'll reopen another one.
definitely.
All right,
All
man.
right.
Have a good night, dude.
You too.